All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mental Health Decoded, Steps to Break Free from the Trauma Matrix. My name is David McCullough. I'm the founder and CEO of Inception, the first mental health gym. This is family, if you don't know me, on Earn Your Leisure, part of the Inner Wealth. So today you're going to get some inner wealth. My background is in network engineering and management. I spent over 20 years in the health and wellness space, and I've experienced over 60 different alternative health modalities. Now, I'll break down what a health modality is and what that means. So this is me. This is young version of me. I'm probably about 22, 23 here, baby face. You can tell it's 2002 because I got a Byzantine chain on, Byzantine necklace, and bracelet on. And this is me during my acting days. I did about probably 8 different stage productions down in South Florida. We toured up the East Coast. This is around the time where Tyler Perry was not Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was just starting in the stage production, and we were doing the same thing. We had a full 100 youth choir doing full out dance moves, in sync dance moves, and singing at the same time, along with productions. And this is me as an actor by the name of Mr. Cash, a record producer. And the reason why I'm showing is because at that time, you would consider me to be pretty high functioning. You know, if I'm going in front of an audience of 10,000 people, you would think that this person is high functioning. But I was, years later, around 2007, I was dealing with anxiety, depression, insomnia, and vomiting panic attacks. By experiencing those things, I end up moving back home to Detroit, where I'm originally from. I live currently outside of Detroit. Moved from South Florida back here, and I was just looking for options because I was dealing with these symptoms. And these options that they gave me at that time were only 2 options, which was drugs and talk therapy. Sad to say that that's kind of still the main options at this point, and neither of them are bad options. It's just when that becomes the option for everyone, that's not very resourceful. It's not enough tools in the tool belt. So I didn't go around the road of doing the drugs or the talk therapy, even though everyone knows my mom is a therapist and a social worker. But my background is in, network engineering and management. So I have a brain to solve problems and to troubleshoot. So I went from troubleshooting computers to troubleshooting myself. And that led me down the road to my option. My option was a company called Brain State Technologies to help me to overcome these symptoms I was dealing with. And I just happened to find it on the web at that time. And I wouldn't have been able to find this technology if I didn't know about these 3 different things, which is quantum physics, neuroplasticity, and the mind-body connection. Now, quantum physics, I started learning about quantum physics around probably 2003, 4, probably about 24 years old. I'm watching a documentary called What the Bleep Do We Know? It's all about quantum physics, the mind-body connection, and neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is just basically the understanding that the brain can wire itself. It can rewire itself. It can create new pathways. Growing up in the 80s, we always heard this thing, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And that was always like kind of a programming for us that, like, once you get old, that's stuck. However you are, that's just how you are. You're just stuck like that. But neuroplasticity and the science of that, along with the mind-body connection, along with quantum physics, totally blows that theory out the water. And I use these different theories to even, be open to this type of technology. And so within one day of doing 3 different sessions of this technology, and I'm gonna break that down, my anxiety had decreased by 50%. And that's a huge difference. Even in pharmacology, you don't get 50% stress reduction or symptom reduction in one session. So from that experience that I had, me and my dad, who were, avid business people, and I had a need, but I also had a desire to do business. So I brought that along with me and my dad. We brought that technology back to Michigan. And as you can see in the top left, you can see the tall white guy, that's Lee Gertis, and next to him is my dad, and next to him is Dr. David Berselli, who was our trainer for that workshop we were going through. So I completed about 1,000 brain maps. I looked at 1,000 brain maps. I'll tell you what that is and what that looks like. And I became a master level 5 practitioner by using this technology. So I was very, very well versed in this technology. And as you can see in the top right, the far right, you look and see a crowd of people. That's us at one of the master's training in like 2008. And even if you try to zoom in, you'll see it's not really many Black faces in the room. Me and my dad were really the only 2 Black people in the room. It was a third person who was Black, and they were there as a worker. We were there as owners. So it was a big difference. This is a gentleman by the name of Lee Gertis who created Brain State Technologies. He actually used to run a company called Net Perceptions, and Net Perceptions was responsible for creating the algorithm base for Amazon back in the early 2000s. People just started hearing about the word algorithm. Well, this man had basically started setting up the algorithms for Amazon to have that feature where it said, those who bought this also purchased this. But he also experienced trauma. He was assaulted by some youth in San Francisco with a baseball bat. And so he ended up having post-traumatic stress. And then that led him on his journey to look for solutions for himself. And for all the social workers and therapists, y'all all know that typically that's how the journey starts. You're probably in the social work field or therapy field, trying to help yourself or help someone you love, right? So that was Lee as well. And he found a older technology, a brain training technology, and really kind of brought it. He used those algorithms, basically. He used that algorithm understanding and brought an older technology into the 21st century. And that technology, again, is called brainwave optimization. And what we do is, it's a full process, and you see the 1 to 6 steps. First thing that we would do is we would do a brainwave assessment to identify any imbalances in the brain. And I want you to keep in mind when I'm talking about these things, these topics are could be like seminars on each one of these things, whole seminars. So I'm giving you a very high level, gross overview of it. I won't go too detailed. But when we look at those imbalances, we would then select protocols, which were algorithms. We would use non-invasive sensors. We would place them on a scalp. We would place them on different areas of the brain. And that computer software would begin capturing that brainwave activity, converting it into a musical note and sending it back to the brain in real time. So the brain, what it's doing is become a mirror to itself so the brain can change itself. And so you see on the last slide, and it's doing it through auditory as you listen to this music. On the last slide, you see that's when the brain can come back into a state of balance. And I want everyone to understand, this is not a medical technology. This is alternative. This is, I don't have a background in mental health in general. I was a layperson. I was in network engineering. I had a problem. I needed to solve it. So, and in doing so, I'm solving my problem, but I'm also seeing this is a widespread problem. So I was able to being able to help people in my technology background and blend the two. What you see earlier, these brain patterns, right? This gentleman, Dr. Bob Scare, the author of The Body Bears the Burden and many other books, he's in the traumatology field. And Lee, as he was looking at these patterns you see up here, and right now they probably have over 200,000 brain waves in a database, probably the largest relational database in the world of brain patterns. Lee didn't know what he was looking at when he was looking at these patterns. And here Bob Scare goes and said, those are trauma patterns. And this is 2007. So when you hear people talk about trauma now, right? You hear this big thing about trauma. We've been talking about trauma for the last 15 years, but not have we just been talking about it. We've been looking at it. And we've been looking at it through brain waves and through body patterns too. And I'll show you that as well.